Hello everyone. This is a playthrough, an actual play for the Mecha Hack as part of the Open Heart Gaming Calendar. I am Anya. Please introduce yourselves in the order that you connected.
I'm Brian, he, him, and yeah, looking forward to playing.
And I am Travis. My pronouns are also he, him, and I'm very excited for this game.
So, as you can see, we are playing something Gundam adjacent because we're Gunpla boxes. This is the Mecha Hack, a game about mechs and the pilots who do battle on them. We're going to be playing for the next few weeks, and today we are covering mostly a bit of world building, character creation, most important of all, or safety tools, and some basic rules explanations. Which this is an extremely simple game, which is one of the reasons that I really love it. It's real simple and really flexible. So, to get started, the Mecha Hack. This is a game. We're going to do the CATS think, concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. For the Mecha Hack is a game about mecha pilots. That's people who go ahead and pilot these immense robots. In this case, we're aiming for robots at about the height of 60 feet, 20 meters, something around there, which is large, but not, let's say, Pacific Rim large. They are going to mess you up if you come near them, but they are not impossibly tall. These are pilots who are enlisted with the Ares Collective. The Ares Collective is a faction that's been colonizing this sector, and they got to this particular system about 20, 30 years ago. They found they found that some other faction at some point had probably colonized the system and then abandoned it. The reasons at the time were not clear, but they have been becoming clearer as time goes on, which is something that we are going to get into in a bit. For aim, we are going to be aiming mainly to the weight that's put on the pilots regarding the missions that they are in. You are going to be in essentially the frontier, a section of this planet of Ares that's not been fully colonized. You will be in an outpost, so you are going to have to take charge in moments that you most likely you wouldn't normally take charge, be it in space or be it in another colonized planet. Of course, going in space, receiving shipments from space, and other factions will probably show up from other places on the sector. But for starters, we are in a recently established zone of Ares, of this planet that, very much in the vein of Star Wars or something like that, is kind of a watery, jungly planet. That's our aim. Our tone. I'm going to be aiming for this kind of what I want to say is Pacific Rim tone, where we have there's the background of the war, there's the background of the pilots dealing with losing their partners or losing different members of your party, but there's still space to mostly, let's say, gallows humor. I think it's the expression. So we're going to be heading towards there and kind of fine tuning it as we go along. And our subject matter is basically this small section of the, at least for starters, is this small section of the planet, the surrounding area of the outpost that you are stationed at, and mostly the interpersonal relationships that your characters get up to, both amongst yourselves and with the people that you will get to know as the game goes on. How does that sound like? Okay, so as I was saying, we're going to be dealing with a lot of the interpersonal relationships between these characters. And to take care of that, we are going to be using some safety tools, 3 of them. First of all is lines and veils, then Xcard, and then open table. Lines and veils is basically a list of things that tells us what we will include and we won't be including in our game. Essentially, we have a 3 columns list that you can consult in the spreadsheet, and I think you already started filling. We have 3 columns. One is a line. A line is something that we will not be including in our game at all. Veil is something that, in case it happens, we will be fading to black. We will not be detailing a lot of what's going on there. And an ask first is something that it depends on the situation. We will consult with each other how much we want to detail that aspect of the narrative in this case. Have both of you been used this tool before? Okay, so are you feeling comfortable with the lines and veils as they are right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to quickly go through them. As lines, this is things that will not be in our game at all. We have homophobia, transphobia, and misogyny. As veils, which are things that we will fade to black in case they happen, we have bullying, we have domestic partner abuse, sexual violence, slavery, and torture. And as asked first, that these are things that will be on a case-by-case basis. We have extreme violence, eye injuries, harm to animals, harm to children, harm to innocent bystanders, sexism, and suicide. It's important to mention that if at any point any of us want to add anything to this list, it's completely open to be added to the list. So that's our lines and veils. Our second safety tool will be Xcard. Xcard is basically this hard stop for the narrative. You can say Xcard, you can make a sign with your hands on camera. Maybe I won't be super attentive to camera because of different reasons, so please do call my attention with your voice if at all possible. But basically, we will stop the narrative and go back to a point where we were comfortable and strike out any element that made us uncomfortable at any point. Maybe we will add that to our lines and veils. You never have to explain why you are excarding something, but sometimes it's important to be clear what was excarded so that it doesn't happen again. Have you both used Xcard before? Cool. And finally, open table. Open table basically means that if at any point you need to go to the door because something, a package arrived, or you need to go to the bathroom or something like that, please feel free to do so. If you have to leave the game for another reason, especially because you determine that this isn't a game for you, please feel free to leave. Maybe specify if you will be coming back or not. But as Lowell always says, life is too short for games that we are not enjoying. So please do feel free to leave the game at any point if that's the case. Does that sound good to you? Cool. So having covered cats and our safety tools, we're going to get started with our character creation. So please go ahead and open the characters tab on the character keeper that I sent you, and let me consult my rules. Okay, just before this, I'm going to explain a bit of the idea of the OSR kind of type of games. OSR games basically means old school renaissance or old school revival. It's basically kind of a callback to original Dungeons and Dragons or basic Dungeons and Dragons. And It basically means that games tend to be really flexible, and above all, they are really simple rules-wise. Sometimes, and this is sort of the case, games tend to be focused on exploration and tend to be focused on, or tend to have a high lethality. This is a game where you will be piloting these mechas that are basically nuclear reactors on feet and with bombs and with weapons. So explosions will come, and some of those explosions will be your mechs. And in case you are in those mechs, you are almost 100% dead at the time of explosion. So it can get lethal. Um, I want to reiterate that these games are really flexible. There's a lot of emphasis um, in how you describe stuff. It's not a hard rule, but it's kind of a rule of thumb that if we get to roll a lot of dice, it usually means that you are in trouble, that you have the lower hand. So if you can bring the narrative from the way you are describing it, or you can think out of the box about the situation, things will most likely go your way. If we get to rolling dice, you will be at a disadvantage most of the times, not always. That being said, this is a really simple game, but both times that I have played it, the tactical aspect of it has been extremely enjoyable. In contrast with other more tactical heavy games, like for example Dungeons and Dragons 3.5, that tends to be overwhelming. These really simple rules give for an extremely flexible tactical game. So that stuff gets fun. In my experience, has been really fun. Is there any doubt up to that point? Okay, so we're going to go ahead with building our mechas. So to build our mechas, please each one of you select. There's 4 colors. If you like one of the other colors, that's totally okay. So please select one of the columns. Write your name and pronouns in the column that you are selecting, and let me know. Okay. So for starters, we are going to be rolling our attributes. We have 4 attributes: power, which is usually the attribute that we will use to attack; mobility, which is mostly about evading getting damage; systems, which is mostly about using the models of your mechas, which have computers, have antennas, have sensors. When we have to check if any of that works, we usually roll systems; and presence, which is somewhat your personality or resisting certain psychic effects that can come up on the game. So we have these 4 attributes, sorry, and for each one of those, we will be rolling 3d6 in order. So that's 3d6 for power, 3d6 for mobility, 3d6 for system, and 3d6 for presence. If at any point you roll 15 or higher, there will be a small penalty for the next attribute that you will roll. Do note that these boxes have a small custom number format, so you can just go ahead and write the number that you rolled. You don't have to write 3 power, you just write the number 3, for example. So please go ahead and start by writing down your attributes, 3d6 for each one of them in order. If you can roll at home, or if you are in Olver Rodeo, there's a section for the dice in the top left corner of your screen. "14 for power, that's awesome."
How do I roll more than one die at a time? Just click the 6 3 times?
Yes. You click the 6
Okay,
3 times.
there it is. Good thing you got 14 for power. I did not.
7 for power. A 6 for mobility.
Ah, okay.
14 for system. That's awesome. And 16 for presence. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so that's our attributes. We will be choosing pilots. Since there's not many of us, I recommend that you choose complementary pilots. You have a tab that's called pilots. There's basically 4 different kinds. Commander, which are leaders. Basically, they are able to command one of their companions to take an additional action whenever they are in combat or a stressful situation. Engineers that can basically that's weird that I didn't copy all of it. Give me a second. Which basically means you can sacrifice your own mecha's armor point in order to fix another mecha. You have mavericks, which are mostly about rapid fire. You can do reckless attack, which means that when you are successful at attacking, you can basically stress your own mecha in order to do more damage. And finally, you have quipsters, which basically are similar to bards in Dungeons and Dragons style games. You are able to inspire your companions. They will get advantage for their rolls. So there's really no wrong choices. Go ahead and pick one that calls on to you. It's good to know that you will be adding a small bonus to an attribute depending of which one of these 4 pilots you choose. Once you've chosen, go ahead and let me know, and please copy and paste your pilot ability in row 15 of your character sheet and add your bonus, your attribute bonus, please.
I'm thinking I'm going to go Maverick.
Maverick, yeah, with 14 to power, that sounds like a Maverick, yeah.
Okay, then I'll probably pick engineer.
Okay.
Do we need a commander?
No, you don't really need a commander, in the
Okay.
sense that it's more of the name of the archetype than rank. So
Okay, yeah.
and remember to add your bonuses, please. Reckless attack.
Ooh, broke the format.
And quick fix. Nice. Let me know when you have added your bonuses, please.
Is there a spot for us to put the pilot type?
Not really, but if
Okay.
you want to write it, you can write it in where it says pilot pronouns. It
Okay.
won't be really super important after selecting the pilot. What's important is your ability.
I see it won't be. Yeah, gotcha. 2 to system 1 no ability. Okay, bonuses are in.
Good. So we're moving on to the chassis stuff, please. And we will be picking a chassis, basically a mecha archetype. First one is Brawler. Brawler is mostly about melee combat. It's a lot about melee combat. It's a lot about resisting attacks. As you can see, you have 3 different die written down there, which is hit die, damage die, and reactor die. Hit die is the die that you will be rolling for your damage basically all of the time, except for unarmed combat. Damage die. Hit die is mostly to recover HP, to recover hit points, hit protection, and reactor die is one of the very particular rules about this game. Basically, the larger your reactor die, the better your reactor is. Whenever certain abilities or you receive critical damage, you will be rolling that die. And if you roll 1 or 2, you go. Let me change my screen. You go to the dice chain. I don't have the dice chain in this screen. Basically, if you have a reactor die that's a 10, you change it to D8. If you have a reactor die that's D8, you change it to a D6, D4. If you ever roll a 1 or a 2 in a D4, your mecha has overheated, and you have to skip your next turn as you are basically venting your mech. So Brawler doesn't have the biggest reactor, but it's a good enough reactor. Then you have Scout. Scout is basically about getting in and getting out after doing damage. Your special ability will be Cloaking Field, which basically means you become invisible as an action. So that's really useful. Striker is the most balanced. If you want to go straight in the middle, Striker has some really large hit die, damage dice, and reactor die. You are able to recharge your reactor, but basically all of the rest of the stuff is, let's say, standard. And Titan is the tank. If you want to protect anyone, you choose a Titan. You have a lot of HP, as depicted by your hit die, and you are able to deploy an energy shield in order to protect people that are behind you. So go ahead and please choose a mecha. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Do notice that your starting equipment changes depending of the mech that you are choosing.
I'm thinking striker. What are you thinking?
Well, just looking at my power and mobility, I don't know. I was thinking Scout as the engineer, but the mobility is not great. The power is terrible. But anyway, Scout, the hide and being kind of invisible seems to suit those things that for my opening rolls.
Yeah, and Scout will allow you to somewhat circumvent your low power because you have advantage for your attacks as long as you are hidden. So
Okay, great.
Scout is a good choice. When you have selected your mecha, please write down in your character sheet your hit die, your damage die, your reactor die. and your chassis abilities. Kinetic absorbers. Now you have adaptable robotics and reactor charge. I love those names. I simply love those games. Ambush and cloaking field. That's your chassis. And your equipment, Brian, please. Nice. Okay, so as you can see, you have both of you have light armor, and Brian's mecha right now has a shield, and those provide you with AP. That's armor points. Please go ahead and write it in your max in your right side armor points cell, and you are currently at your maximum. And you have light weapons, both of you. In this game, basically, there's light armor and heavy armor, light weapons and heavy weapons. Light armor gives you 3 AP, heavy armor gives you 5 AP. Light weapons are basically every single weapon by default. Heavy weapons, which you will have access at some point, or you can buy, or you can loot from another mecha. Basically gives you a penalty to your attack, but it will do more damage. They are harder to use, but they hit harder. And with that, please go ahead and roll for your hit points, which for the striker is 1d8 plus 4, and for the scout is 1d6 plus 4.
Eight sides and you get a 1.
Things will get rough. Okay, armor points basically means that it's a buffer that you have before attacks are dealt directly to your hit points. armor points are very easily regained during resting. Hit points sometimes are harder because you have to roll to recover. So it will depend on the situation, but armor points are really good to have. Now, please, both of you, go ahead and roll 2d20 for me, please, and give me each one of them individually.
So it's a 1 and a 13.
A 1 and a 13. Let me know if you like this or you want to change it. Your call sign at this point is Breaker Zenith. Zenith.
Sure.
That's on
Mine
line
is
3.
19 and 15.
19 and 15. Me desconecté. Hello? Hello, hello? I'm not sure if I'm connected or not. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We lost it for a
Uh,
bit though.
I'm not sure why my screen isn't showing. There it is. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Okay, and you said 19 and
15. Yeah.
15. That's Voodoo Jigsaw.
Buddha jigsaw.
Voodoo Jigsaw.
Excellent.
Nice. Okay, so that's that. And please roll a d10 for me.
It's 8.
That's an 8. Um, okay, these are what's called in the game records. It's basically a small seed of background for your character. An 8 is I have yet to see combat outside of a training simulator. How are you feeling about that? And
Sure.
Travis,
Mine's a 10.
a 10. I'm infamous for my ruthlessness in combat.
Okay.
That's your call signs. And finally, you get to pick a model. If you go to the model tab, there's 3 different kinds. That's offensive, defensive, and utility models, which is sort of self-describing. Each one of them has an effect, and if you have any doubt, please let me know. There's no better model for any of the different chassis because they are all extremely unique, and they are somewhat broken, which is part of the fun of the game. So uh, if a name or something calls to you, that's the one.
How many do we get to pick?
You get to pick one at level 1, then one at level 3, 6, and 9. So right now, only one.
Only one. Okay. Test power. So if we're rolling against power Is this a roll under? Or roll against our power number? Do we roll under
Yes,
or roll
yes,
over?
yes. You always roll under, strictly under your different attributes in this game.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, equal is a failure.
All right. I'm picking targeting array
Okay.
because it suits my abilities.
Targeting array as an action test system. Yeah. If you succeed, gain advantage on your next attack against an enemy. Roll your reactor die. Yeah, sure. What are you picking, Brian?
We can't hear you, Brian.
I was saying that, yeah, that makes sense to me because you're going to be like hiding and then sneak attacking. So you're like, if you're attacking less often, you want to make sure it hits.
Impactful, yeah.
Makes sense. I'm thinking, where is it? Reflective shielding.
Reflective shielding. You can choose reflective shielding. Just oh no, that's pretty cool. I thought it was one that allowed you to deploy a shield, and I was going to remind you that you are carrying a shield. But yeah, reflecting shielding sounds awesome. Correct. Nice.
Do I have the armor points right? Everything else makes sense to me.
For armor points,
Interest.
you have 3 armor points. Yes.
Okay, got you. Okay, thank you.
Armor points, hit points. Okay. Have you thought about any names for your pilots?
No, but
If you want, yeah, I can roll for a few names. Give me a second.
okay.
Uh, Go ahead and please roll a d20.
Number 2.
Number 2, give me 1 second. There it is. Basilis.
All right. Sounds good.
I rolled
Can you
a
spell it or put it in the chat for me, please?
I can put it in chat for you, no problem. Basilis. Do you want to pick something, Brian? Do you want me to roll for something?
I might just pick something.
Go ahead.
I've got.
Basilis Goddard. That sounds cool. And what are Basilis' pronouns?
They are he, him.
Brian. And let me know when you have picked something, Brian, please. I don't know how I feel about these new camera effects that are with my camera, but they can be fun.
It just does it automatically depending on what your hand does?
Yeah.
Right on. That's hilarious. Is that in OBS? Steven.
No, that's from the Mac. Hi, Steven. Give me 1 second, please, to catch you up. Uh, oh, there it is. Oh, and I think we lost Anna. Okay, there's Steven. I'm having some kind of. I was having some kind of issue. So, and so basically, we will be playing pilots in a system that's called the Ares system that has been recently colonized by the so-called Ares Collective. When they arrived in this system, they realized that somebody else had colonized it before many, probably centuries ago. And right now, the reasons why they left behind are not super clear, but have been becoming clearer as time goes on. Uh, we will be playing mech pilots, basically who are stationed around the northern part of the planet. It's a part that has been recently settled. There's no cities nearby. There's not many stuff besides the outpost that you are stationed at. Very much in the vein of something like Star Wars. This planet is a watery jungle planet, and you have been stationed here maybe for a couple of months at the most. The tone that we will be aiming for is basically the game will get a bit rough, a bit harsh. You will be dealing with many unfavorable conditions for your pilots, but we will also have a lot of space for gallows humor because of the situation that you have been dropped into. Basically, you don't have a lot of resources, and you will have to take many different decisions that wouldn't usually fall down on you. And we will be focusing a lot in the interpersonal relationships between you and the characters that you will be meeting along the way. This game is a really simple game. Rules are really straightforward. Um, it's focused mostly in the game itself, in exploration and combat. But as I was telling Brian Travis, the combat portion of this game is really flexible, and it's really interesting because the rules are simple enough that we will get a lot of basically a lot of sorry, I should have let you know that we are already recording, so you are on camera. Sorry. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got the time wrong.
Don't worry. That's that. That's cats. We will be using some safety tools. Are you familiar with lines and bales, Xcard, and Open Table?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be skipping that for the moment, but please do go through our safety tools in the safety and resources tab in the character keeper that I think you have already opened.
Yep. Yeah. I'm good.
And let me know if you are good with the lines and bales as
Oh yeah,
they
I'm good
are.
with them.
Okay. That's that. Our safety tools. And we are going to be quickly creating a character for you. Okay, so I can see you already claimed the next column. That's super good. Give me 1 second to bring up my instructions. Just one more thing before that. How familiar are you with mecha anime?
Relatively familiar.
Okay, is there anything in particular that you especially like?
Oh, not off the top of my head, but I get the feeling from the way this game is set up, this is airing towards kind of evangelion.
Okay, so we're going to be building your mech. Please, you have 4 different attributes: power, mobility, system, and presence. Power is basically attacking, mobility is avoiding taking damage, system is using your array of sensors and different modules that your mech will be fitted with, and presence is mostly your personality and somewhat resisting certain psychic effects that are in the game. Please roll 3d6 in order for each one of these. You are muted, I think.
And is the rolling room this Albert Rodeo link here?
Yeah, you can roll at home or you can roll in the Albert Rodeo link.
Okay.
Brian, Travis, if you want to go ahead and take like a 10-minute break, that's totally okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got the time wrong.
Don't worry, Steven. It's our first session where everyone is getting up to speed. Admin. You have dice in your top left corner in Albert Rodeo if you want to use them.
Okay, and you said 3d6?
3d6 for each one of those.
Okay, that's a 15.
For power. Sorry, you rolled a 15. There's a small penalty for your next one. That will be a 2d6 plus 3.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's 12.
Okay. That's 12 to mobility. And the next one is 3d6 again.
Okay. That's 13.
Okay.
And that is a 12.
Nice. Okay, that's attributes. Now we will choose a pilot. You have a tab that's called pilots in the character keeper. There's 4 of them. You can be a commander, an engineer, a maverick, or a quipster. We already have Brian as the maverick and Travis as the engineer. You can choose one of those if that calls to you, but the other ones are 100% available. Commander basically means that you are a born leader and you will be able to, during combat, allow one of your partners to take an additional action. Engineer is basically allows you to sacrifice the armor of your mech in order to repair the armor of somebody else. Maverick is mostly about heavy attacks. And Quipster is about inspiring your companions.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go with the commander. We'll see how that works out.
Sure.
So I add 2 to power and 1 to presence.
Yes. And helping you copy your pilot ability. Character, battle tactics. Okay, that's your pilot. We will be choosing a chassis. You have a tab that's called a chassis. That's called chassis. There's 4 basic chassis. You have brawler, which is mostly about hand-to-hand combat or melee combat. Scout, which is mostly about moving in and moving out undetected after hitting. A striker, which is the most balanced chassis. It's about hitting, but it doesn't really excels at any particular thing. And you have Titan, which is basically about protecting your companions. We have chosen an scout and an striker. Again, you can choose those if you want.
Yeah, I'll go with the brawler.
Sure. Let me explain a bit further then. You have 3 different die. That's a hit die, damage die, and reactor die. Hit die basically is about how much HP you have and how much HP you can recover during a rest. Your damage die is about how much damage you deal. Unlike many other games, your damage is not tied down to the kind of weapon that you are using, rather to your mech itself. And finally, you have a reactor die. This each one of these mech is a nuclear reactor on legs. So basically, whenever an ability asks you to roll your reactor die, you take critical damage, or I ask you for, you roll that die, and if you roll a 1 or a 2, you will downgrade your die. That's, you have a d6, then you will downgrade it to a d4. If you roll 1 or 2 in that d4, then your mech will overheat because it will overheat. And you have to spend your next turn venting your mech. So just so you know what that means. If you want to choose the brawler, please go ahead and copy your hit die, damage die, reactor die, and your 2 character abilities. Well, mech abilities.
Okay, I've done that.
And please go ahead and roll for your hit points, which is d8 plus 4 in your case.
Okay. I'll also just put in my equipment here. And d8. That's a 10.
Okay. And your hit points, please.
Okay.
That's your maximum and your current. And you have 5 armor points from your shield and your light armor. Armor points are basically this buffer that you have before taking damage to your actual hit points. And finally, before, once you've classes, please go ahead and roll 2d20 for me and give each one of them separately.
4d20?
2d20.
Oh, 2d20. Okay. 14 and 10.
14 and 10. This is your call sign. You can change it if you want to, or we can roll again. But your call sign right now is Colossus Crusader.
Okay.
And roll a d10 for me, please.
D10. 4.
4. This is your, what the game calls record. It's a small seed for your character. You can take it or leave it as you want. But a 4 is, I am amnesiac. Much of my past is missing, but I remember how to fight. You can use it, you can roll again, or you can think about your character on your own.
Okay.
And that's your call sign, your record. And finally, you get to pick one model right now. You have a tab called models. There's 3 different kinds: offensive, defensive, and utility models, which basically are attack, defend, and support stuff. You can pick anyone you like.
Yeah.
And I've marked the ones that Brad and Travis have already picked in case you want to pick different.
I feel like I'll just go in on this. This massively powered character. I have a chest beam.
Okay, that sounds cool. Go ahead and copy it in your models.
Okay.
Brawler. You are level 1. And you can pick a pilot name and their pronouns, please.
Yeah. Let's see. I have one here. Here we go. No, I don't like those.
Hi, Travis. We're just finishing.
Okay.
Adept pilot secundus. I like that. Let me. Okay, so let me make sure I have everything open. I are okay. So we have created characters. That's literally that's basically like creating the characters is basically like 50% of the rules of the game. Here's the rest of the rules. As I was saying, the game is a lot about exploration and somewhat about combat. On your turn, this will become important later, but basically on your turn, whenever we're in combat, you can move, attack, or make a test. In order to make a test, you will always roll a d20, and you are trying to roll strictly under your value. the value of your attribute. If you roll equal to it, it's a failure. There's critical success and there's critical failure in a 1 and a 20. And there's basically only 4 different roles in that sense for this game, which is power, mobility, systems, and presence. At different points of the game, it will become important to rest. Whenever you do a short rest, you will regain all of your armor points, as I was telling you earlier, Brian, and you will regain a number of hit points depending on how well you roll. This represents you refueling your mech, you venting, patching different systems. And if you spend 8 hours or more repairing your mech, you will get a long rest, which means you regain your max HP and you will restore your reactor die to max. It's sort of important or recommended that whenever you are using your mech, you try not to roll more than once your reactor die. Otherwise, you will overheat really, really soon. As this section that says on your turn says, if you do... Oh no, sorry, in the reactor die section. If you take the same action twice in the same turn, you automatically roll for your reactor die. So there's different situations where you will check if you are heating up, which is you take critical damage, you take the same action twice in the same turn. An ability directs you to, which I think all of your models ask you to roll your reactor die. And if I ask you to in certain specific situations. If you overheat, that, as I was telling you, means you roll a 1 or a 2 in whenever your reactor die becomes a d4. You become overheated, which means you cannot take actions, you will take disadvantage on all tests, and you will have to skip your next turn. And whenever your mech gets to 0 HP, you basically become disabled. Your mech cannot take actions until repaired. You will fail every single test automatically, and your mech will probably get a disadvantage until it can be more thoughtfully repaired. And finally, armor points. As I was telling you, armor points basically means that you have a small buffer before your mech starts taking real damage. You can expend your armor points to reduce any incoming damage. But these are every single rule that will be relevant for you during the game, besides leveling up that we will get to when we level up your mechs. But as I was telling you, this is a really simple game, so and it's mostly about you being creative with your descriptions and what your mechs can do, than the rules tying you down to any specific action. Is that clear for everyone? Is there any doubt about this? I always forget about the effect, sorry. Okay. So that's the rules. Let me make a final check. We have our safety tools, character creation. Talked a bit about Mecha. And yeah, that's that. How are you all feeling? Do you want to get... We will most likely do 1 or 2 scenes today. How are you feeling? Okay, so let's get into it. Sorry. One final thing that I had in mind. I know that one of your pilots has been demoted. That's important, really, but I think it's a good starting point for one of your characters to have a motivation. Which one of you wants to be the pilot that has been recently demoted? Recently, like in the past week.
Well,
It is
adept
not
pilot
been
units have always have high performance ratings, so I don't think it's me.
Oh no.
I've never seen combat out of a simulator, so I don't know that I've even been promoted to be demoted.
So, Vasilis, how are you feeling about that?
Good. Everything sort of blanked out, so I didn't hear the last little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just saying, I've never even seen combat out of a simulator, so I feel like I'm pretty new, so I don't know that I have promotions to have been. But I'm happy to take it if it sounds unappealing.
I'm also happy to take it.
I think we have
Happy to be the grumpy.
Vasilis Goddard then. And how are you? Well, we will. I'm gonna get to something else in a bit, but basically we are going to get started. Second. Okay. The Ares. Ares is the only inhabited planet in the system that has been recently colonized by the Ares Collective. The first planet that's colonized by the Ares Collective in every planetary system, they always name it Ares. The full address for this planet will be Ares 1023, as I had written down. Yes, Ares 1023. Ares 1023 is a jungle planet for the most part. There's luscious, vast oceans. And basically, what has attracted the Ares Collective to this section of the galaxy is metals. There's, if you catch the reference, you will catch the reference. There's transparent aluminum in plenty in this planet, which is of course used to construct a lot of mecha. And to build a lot of the different ships that the Ares Collective uses to transport. As I was telling you, about 20 or 30 years, the Ares Collective started exploring this system, this planetary system, and it was colonized around 10 years ago, or the first outpost came around 10 years ago. And the collective soon realized that this planetary system had been previously colonized by what seems to be humans, but there doesn't seem to be any connection to you, or there's no record in the collective that there were at any point any schisms of the humans in the collective. All three of you have been stationed here at Outpost Q. At Outpost Q for about 3 months. And in those 3 months, you have realized why Ares, in spite of having all of these minerals and all of these resources that are attractive to the collective, has not been more developed, more colonized. And that reasons is that there's kaiju aplenty in this planet. The kaiju attack every single outpost, and in time, the collective has developed certain strategies to deal with this kaiju. But those basically boil down to sending the lowest ranking soldiers possible to deal with the different nests that tend to surround all of these outposts. It's mostly about prevention rather than dealing with the largest of the creatures that attack regularly. And that's where we are going to get started. Last week, Vasilis Goddard, one of our more experienced pilots here in Q, got demoted to the lowest rank in of those who still get to pilot their mechs. For the first time in maybe a couple of years, you have to share bunks, Basilis, and you are sharing them right now with Ever Calder and adept pilot Secundus and Secundus. Calder, who's never seen combat before what you suspect will be the mission you are escorting them today, even though you will not be officially their ranking officer. And Secundus, who's had a long, successful career in academy, but hasn't seen a lot.
Oh, I don't remember any of that.
Oh yeah. That's right. Your pilot.
As a precaution, adept pilot units have their memories erased every year.
Okay. So that's precisely where I was going. So why don't we get started with adept pilot Secundus? Tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Well, yes, adept pilot Secundus is a cyborg. I don't know how any of the harm and healing work in this game, but I'm just imagining like a little bit less. Like I think I have very red eyes that glow slightly in the dark, and mostly I don't want to say no hair. I think I have hair that is very clearly made to appear like human hair, but it like really doesn't look like human hair in the end. And I think I also like just have that weird white blood that cyborgs in the alien movies do have.
Sure. How do you think? How old do you think Secundus looks like?
I think it's hard to tell. I think that they look young, but that is partly because I'll be frank, they refurbish the skin every now and then. You know, you need to do a full like flaying and regrafting of new skin.
Let me make a note out of that. Okay. Ever, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly just young and impatient to actually get out in a real mech instead of sitting in the simulator practicing. He's always wanted to like compare finish times and high scores on the simulator because that's all I was ever done. And yeah, everyone else is just
okay. Why don't you go ahead and please roll me 2d20.
2d20.
Yeah.
10 and a 7.
10 and a 7. Okay, I think then that you have had 10 drops in simulator, and out of those 10, 7 is your successful kill record. How do you feel about that?
That's pretty good.
That's good. 70% is good. And Basil.
That was on the hard difficulty.
And Basilis, please tell us about yourself.
I am pretty old for a pilot, like 35 plus. Obviously pretty grumpy about my recent demotion, which I am certain was more of a political thing. I must have said something uh, that made somebody mad instead of performance-based emotion. So I'm convinced that it was definitely something that I said on a day off to somebody that got me demoted and back into this room.
Let me ask you: are you in the habit of speaking about people behind their backs?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, then I think it's not official. Of course, you received a letter telling you about your demotion, but you don't know who demoted you. But you know it was Michael Anders. Michael Anders is the person who's in charge of this outpost. Let me verify his rank for you. Give me 1 second. Uh, Sergeant Michael Anders. Uh, Sergeant Anders has this fame of being of basically not having a real sense of humor, especially because he just hates being called Mike by anyone. So maybe it wasn't even about you about mouthing him or saying stuff about him. Maybe it was just about you calling him Mike, and you know it had to be him who ordered your demotion.
Excellent.
Let me make a quick note. Vasily. Oh, give me 1 second. I have to close my window. It started raining. There. Okay, so it's basically around 5 a.m. Uh, all pilots have to report to the yard for to get assigned the different tasks of the day. And Anders, um, he has two women on his sides. One, mostly by her voice, is called Madonna. Madonna is basically who is in charge of giving orders, who is your support officer, the voice in your radios whenever you are out on missions. I think the one who will be less familiar with her is of course Calder, since he hasn't been in any missions yet, but you would at least know her by her looks. She's sort of young. She has long hair, uh, and that's particular because that's 100% against regulation. So she probably has some. Everyone knows the operation will fall down if she wasn't here. So she gets a lot of leeway. And on his left, you have Jun KG, the chief mechanic in the outpost. Mr. Anders is going back and forth, checking for your uniforms, checking for your units who are stationed across the yard from you. And he basically stops in front of Basilis and says, "Mr. Goddard, how are you doing this morning?"
Well, sir, fine, sir.
How are your new accommodations suiting you?
Comfy, sir, comfy.
That's good to know. We want or or best performing pilots comfortable, of course. He looks at Segundus and Calder, and he asks both of you, is Mr. Goddard giving you any trouble since he moved in with you?
No, sir.
Mr. What title would you prefer, Segundus?
They probably just call me Segundus. I think that's the level of like that's the level of personhood command prescribes to us, at least.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense to me. And Secundus, is there anything to report since Mr. Goddard moved in with you?
No, he has been spending most of his time in our bunks, regaling us with lewd jokes about commanding officers.
Sure. Anders looks back at Goddard and says, "So, give me 1 second, please. So, Voodoo Jigsaw. Is that it then? So he asks for a report from Madonna and says, "How do you feel about taking out these recruits, Mr. Goddard, in to do some chores?" He calls them, and chores is basically this code for doing the most plain, boring cleanup of kaiju nests.
Fine, sir. Working on it, sir.
Looking forward for your report, Mr. Goddard, and from you, Segundos.
I give a nod, like a little kind of salute type nod, kind of half bow, I guess.
Sure. Anders is still taking roll call from some of the other recruits, some of the other pilots, and basically you are dismissed to go ahead to take your mechs. You have about 30 minutes before deployment. Deployment basically consists of you moving your mechs towards the helipads, where helicopters pick up you and take you to the location of your mission. In this case, not really far away. Is there anyone you want to check in? I have mentioned Madonna, Anders, and Jun KG, but of course you will be more familiar than I am with the different people that are here. Maybe any other, if you want, what I'm saying, if you want to establish any NPCs that you will know, here now is as good time as ever. So
I think who was the one that had the non-regulation hair?
Madonna.
Oh yeah, I as I have done for the past like 20 times we've met, I walk up and open the conversation with I believe that you are in violation of, and I list some like I list like the specific regulation, and that's just how I always open the conversations, because it just like I just feel the need to bring that up every time.
You see Madonna take out a small tablet, and she's listening to you, nodding along, and then you hear her. All three of you hear her say, "Why hasn't I will have to resubmit a request." And this is basically like the 20th or 30th time that you have said this to her, and the 20th or 30th time that she has asked she has asked for your programming to be changed in order for you not to remind her of this regulation. And she just says, Segundos, yes, I'm aware. As I have been telling you, I don't have to abide but by regulation 1713. 1713A.
I think I kind of like process for a second. Of course. Oh, hello. Okay, I wasn't sure. I just lost you for a second. I think I processed for a second and then like say of course I understand. Of course. I have received your most
That
hello?
made Madonna so mad she just left the
There
room.
I am. Sorry. I think I'm having a bit of internet issues, maybe because of the rain. So if at any point I disconnect and don't come back in, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes, please feel free to leave the room, because maybe I will have some further issues. I heard most of that, Segundos, but not all of it. If you could repeat the last
Oh,
part,
I
please.
said, of course. Of course. I recall from our last conversation, and I have received your most recent request, but unfortunately, I have been forced to reject it.
I think she just nods along and she tells you. She looks at Calder rather and says, "I think she's a bit fond of you, Calder. You are maybe the youngest. You have a good record in the simulator. Maybe not definitely not the most impressive, but it's good. She's fond of you." She says, looking at just on her, just giving the side eye to Goddard and Segundos. Says, "I'm sorry you had to be in this deployment, Mr. Carter, but I hope you get to have fun. Segundos can be fun in the right situations, especially on board of a mech."
Yeah. I'm not sad about it. I'm glad to finally get out there.
Are you looking forward to anything in particular, Mr. Carter?
I mean, just finally showing what I can actually do in the pilot seat.
She tells you. Just keep an eye on that reactor, and I think you will be all right.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you come back in one piece, the mission's successful, right?
She looks back at her tablet and she says, not if you ask, not if you ask, what's the name? I don't know the name in English, but basically the person who budgets who allocates the budget for this, for the outpost. Not if you ask the administration, is what she says. But sure, just be sure to come back in one piece, please, Mr. Keller.
Yeah, of course.
She's leaving you, and she just finally says to you, Goddard, Keep an eye out for that, please, Mr. Goddard.
Will do, Madonna. Will do.
Does anybody of you want to do anything else for deployment?
I'm just going to do a pre-flight check and check in with a mechanic at the base.
Okay.
And just make sure everything's fine with my ship.
Yeah. You go to the hangar. Mechs are starting to be pulled out for you, and you find June basically barking out orders to the different mechanics, and you walk in as she's saying, make sure you you top off the coolant in all of those units, please. And as she sees you approach, she turns around and says, "Mind the security line, please, Vasily." And goes back
Mind
to
the security line. Yep. Yep.
Is there anything I can do for you today?
Nope, just wanted to make double sure, watch everything get loaded up. I'm ready to go get back out there and get beyond all of this madness of the last week.
She has her back turned to you, but if you were standing in front of her, you will see her. I think you say the same thing every single time, and she's mouthing along with you. No, I'm just happy to go. Just like kind of. She knows your procedure by heart at this point. Is there anything in particular you want to check today?
No, just wanted to make sure that the pilots get connected properly, and I just you know me, I'm kind of superstitious. So I just like to watch it happen, and just go along in my head with the checklist.
As you are saying this, your mecha gets out of the hangar. The sun starts shining above the fence on the perimeter on the outpost. Go ahead and please describe to me how does your mech looks like.
My mech is one of the smaller ones. It's fast. It is matte black armor with one of the legs is a replacement leg, and it is like a reddy orange, orangey red, I guess. It's called red. Replacement leg. That's the one I'm gonna, as it swings past me on the lift, I'm just gonna tap that on the tap the odd colored leg on the way by. It's my good luck. Give it a little kiss.
Sure. I think June tells you. Try not to scratch it. That's our last. That's our last batch of that color of that shade.
Excellent. Will do. And I'll walk back out to the sun.
Calder, please go ahead and describe your mech to me.
I wonder if he's not he's been like aching to like put some like racing stripes and stuff on there, but because it hasn't actually gone on a mission yet, it's like, you know, you're not supposed to until. So he's got like a notebook full of like drawings of like, yeah, all the what he wants to put on there, but it's all just like just blank metal, you know, fresh from the factory still.
It's the standard issue green. Your
Yeah.
mech. I think, however, a sword. You have a sword. It's a really specific weapon to train with. Uh, what do you like about your well sword combat with your mecha?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's probably had long discussions with anyone who will listen on the various advantages of the different possible melee. Like, yeah, axes are good for like this situation, but like really ultimately the swords, like it's the best like all around for, it's the most versatile. So that's what I go with.
You don't have
uh
to mind your bullets if you have a sword.
yep.
I think you I think I think you see June uh, as soon as you go nearby. Uh, basically, she elbows you and says, "Shiny, isn't it?" And I think she does this gesture that basically asking you for your notebook, for your drawings notebook, and
Mm-hmm.
she says, "I still think number three is the one that suits you more, Calder." But I know you have your mind.
Yeah, you don't think it's three's I think three's too much. I want, I mean, I want it to, represent me, but it's got to be classy too.
I think as you say, it's gotta be classy. Let me know if this makes sense to you, but I somehow feel that Calder has all of these enamel pins or patches in his uniform that are just barely within regulation. Uh, and she says something like, "Yeah. It has to be classy, sure, classy." and 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 she taps again on number two and says, I know you will go for number two. I just know you will go for number two." And finally, Segundes, please describe your mech to us.
Yeah, I think I chose brawler class, but then I ended up rolling just nonsensically high hit points. So I think that it is like it's way bigger than a brawler cast should be. Like I think it's significantly larger. I think it probably has a paint job that was once white, but it's since been deeply black and charred, particularly around a very concerning massive aperture in the chest of the mech. Uh, and I think someone at some point in the past, not that I'd remember, has painted it out with spray painted skulls onto it.
Give me.
I wouldn't remember doing that, but somebody has.
Okay. Uh, let me ask you a second. I lost something. Give me a second, please. Okay. Your mech has a chest beam. The reason that it's been blackened around the chest. Well, this of course is
One of the reasons.
this of course is a
Yeah.
regulation weapon. Uh, it's it's the kind of weapon that tends to put your fellow soldiers in danger. How do you feel about using it?
Mm, mm, I would be concerned if I was not so assured of their talent and skill. And I will endeavor to only make use of it when the tactical odds of it causing permanent harm, death, or debility to any of you is minimal.
Uh, sure, sure. I want to. I think that's what you're doing, but I want to call attention to the fact that it's all black charred in the chest and the specific situations. I love that. So, okay. So as you finalize your checks on your mechs, and the basically you get into your piloting suits. Calder, it's basically as it's as comfy as you just expected it to be. It's probably I think it suits you. I think it looks good. I think I think it's also not super. What's the word I'm looking for? I think it's also not easily customizable as you will have liked, but it's for your safety, of course. You'll hop into your mechas, and you start hearing uh, the choppers come by, and then in your heads you hear Madonna, and she says, "Ladies and gentlemen, please prepare for deployment. It's 0800 hours. Your different missions have been assigned to you. The day is cloudy with a chance of kaiju." And the helicopter starts coming by, picks you up, and basically you get lifted to around 500 meters. You start seeing all of the jungle, and Madonna points you. Of course, she's mostly talking to the helicopter pilots. Points you towards the west of the outpost. She says, yesterday we had a kaiju nest signature to the west of the station. We are not expecting heavy resistance on the part of the kaiju, but do go ahead and please clean up those for you, gentlemen. And Segundus, you start. I have opened something in Oliver Rodeo. Give me a second. In any case, you can see it over here.
You see, Vasily, the humor of it lied in the fact that we will be encountering kaiju today. Unlike your commentary about Mr. Michael, whose position you described him in last night seemed highly improbable.
Well, Secunda, so you know what this means. We at least get to play today. And we'll save the positions for when we get back to base.
30. I have these tokens. Please choose one that you like.
What do we need to do to pick them? Just
You cannot pick them. I think you just drag them. But if you can't, give me 1 second to verify it.
okay.
Oh yeah, but is there some way to indicate which one is ours?
I think you could just
Or
pick,
okay, we're just moving them.
a color. I'm gonna mark them in different colors, and I can write down your names on them. So that's Steven.
Okay, I'll just take the yellow one then.
Okay, with segundos. With segundos. So stop. Then we have Voodoo, Jigsaw, and we
Also, I want to check. We're coming up on the second hour, on the end of the second hour here. Would now be a good time for a second break for the evening?
Yeah. Sorry. I was tracking that, but yes. Do you want to take 5 minutes?
That's great.
So that's 10 past the mark. So at 15. Talk to you soon. So give me 1 second to reload the call. Okay. So, are you ready? Cool. So let's get started. Okay, so basically you are deployed into the middle of the jungle. You find the choppers find these spaces amongst the different very tall trees in this area that you are being deployed to. And 1 second. And Jigsaw. Yes, Jigsaw. You receive. I'm having trouble with the. Give me just 1 second, please. Sorry.
Onion, we can see you, but can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello. Oh my gosh, I don't think you can hear me. Okay.
Yes?
Okay, so. And Madonna tells you.
We can.
Jigsaw, from your position in.
For a second.
20, 40, 60, 80. From your position to the northwest in about 150 meters, you should find the nest. Make do with it as you like, please. Just try not to burn up the forest this time.
Okay, new guy, my rule is don't die. Segundos, great to have you with us. I love working with your people.
And essentially, okay. So essentially, we are going to have a small tactical scenario to showcase some of the first aspects of the game. I usually play this kind of game. Let me bring up opacity. There it is. I usually play this kind of game in a grid. A grid in this case, hex in this game is about 20 meters. In your turn, you are able to move basically three hexes on your turn. And if you, what's the word I'm looking for? And if you are trying to move further, as I was telling you before, you would have to test your reactor die. But yeah, basically you are receiving instruction that in this area there should be the kaiju nest. You have as I think
oh no.
Se cayó mi llamada. Can anyone hear me?
Oh, she got totally kicked out of the call.
I can see you, but I'm not sure you can see me.
I can see you again.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you're
I'm
back now.
sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with the internet. Let me.
Ooh. Brian, what are you doing to get that
Okay.
measuring thing?
Can
Over
you
on
hear
the
me?
right side of the screen, there's
Oh yeah, yeah.
some tools.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Hey.
Let's hope that's the last one. But if it happens again,
Hello.
hello. Okay. Let's hope that's the last time. But if it happens again,
We
please
can
feel free
say
to. Hola, hola. Hello. Hello, hello.
oh no.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay.
But no.
Hola, hola, hola. Hello, 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 hello.
Yeah, I
Hello.
can hear you.
Okay. Let's hope that's the last one. But if it is not
Yeah,
the
we got
last
you back.
one, please feel free to disconnect because I'm not sure what's going on with the call. We weren't having any trouble at the start, and now it's falling constantly. So if it happens again, please feel free to disconnect. So, okay, in your turn, as I was telling you, you can move up to 60 meters.
Anya,
That's
did you
3 hexes.
talk about what's on the map yet? What's
No, and I'm going to. I was getting there. So yes, basically, this is the area that you are deployed into. On green, you have these massive trees that are basically obstacles that you wouldn't be able to destroy on your own. On red, you have obstacles that you would be able to destroy with the weapons that you have right now. The lines represent, for example, fallen logs, fallen trees, and the triangles represent mostly debris from one kind or another. I like to do it this way because it allows you to basically, if you want to ask if there's anything else in this map, there probably is because you are in charge of your mechas. Pilots have training, so if you are looking for something, it's most likely that it will exist rather than not. And having these ultra detailed maps always seems to block people from thinking what else is on the maps. So as I was telling you, on green is unmovable obstacles, and on red, obstacles that you are able to destroy. And in this area, around 150, 160 meters from each one of you, there's the kaiju nest, as Madonna, as you hear Madonna's voice telling you. We are not in. You should be a little bit closer. Yes, thank you. So, if you want to, so at this point we are not in initiative or anything like that. So, whoever wants to go in first goes in first. So
Well, I believe it would be advisable for me to go in first, as your mechas are more. There's a pause. Fragile than mine.
proceed with caution, Crusader. You hear on your helmet. And as I was telling you, you are able to move
So, where where on the map do we think the nest is?
in this area, in the center, basically.
Okay. I guess I will head forward. And then these are like some logs here. I actually want to ask, because this is something I want to clarify. How big are our mechs?
I think I lost
Oh, and he dropped again.
Steven on
I think we lost you for a second. Hello?
Oh my gosh, I can still hear you, but you
I
cannot
had a
hear
good
me.
feeling for a second,
Yeah,
and then
it fooled us.
Yeah, I think I lost you again. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear me, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, but as I was telling you, if it happened again, I think we're going to disconnect for the day. So thank you very much for joining me. And again, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to disconnect in a couple of minutes. Feel free to disconnect because uh, I don't think there's a lot of point if it's going to be failing every couple of minutes. So
yeah,
I think I got you again. So thank you so much. I'm really sorry. I will see. It's raining, so I expect that's the issue for the day. I hope we have better luck next time. What we had a chance to build, I think it's looking promising and fun. So I hope next week I have better luck with my internet. I will usually do. I'm going to stop the recording and see if we can have a debrief exercise if the connection gives us enough for that. So if you are watching at home, thank you very much. I'm sorry we didn't get to the combat tonight.